We've all seen them, like a steady drumbeat in the dark. Modders are abandoning Starfield. Players are abandoning Starfield. Bethesda is abandoning Starfield. The doom boom in the dark. They are coming. The game is dead. But here's the thing. This narrative doesn't make sense. Not in this relatively quiet news cycle. Not when you're looking at what's actually happening beneath the noise. Because while the internet was writing Starfield's obituary, players kept playing, modders kept modding, and the numbers, they tell a very different story. The Microsoft layoffs were tragic. Thousands of developers lost their jobs, entire teams were restructured. But here's the surprising part. Starfield, a game supposedly abandoned by its players and its creators, came out completely unscathed. If Bethesda or Microsoft had any desire to walk away from Starfield, that would have been the time to do it. Projects were cancelled, studios were shuttered. So what did Microsoft and Bethesda see in that gaming journalists couldn't? What did they know that Twitter didn't? That's when I started digging through the data. First, I had to understand what the gaming journalists were using. And that was this, the Steam concurrent players chart. Their go-to evidence that Starfield is a dead game. But what does this chart actually tell us? It shows the peak concurrent players per day for one storefront. No Microsoft Store, no Xbox, no Game Pass. Just Steam, just one slice of a much bigger picture. It's like measuring a town's population by counting the cars at a grocery store at 5 p.m. and declaring the town only has 300 people. It's not just incomplete, it's misleading. So let's leave Steam's parking lot and look at what's happening in Microsoft's backyard. On the most popular PC games list, Starfield sits at number 34, right behind Destiny 2, an always online live service shooter. And sitting at the top, Solitaire, a free card game that comes pre-installed with Windows. So every game below that, including Starfield, is fighting uphill against a game everyone already has by default. And here's the kicker. Skyrim, the game so often used to discredit Starfield, doesn't even appear on the list. These Microsoft Store players are completely outside the gaze of Steam, but they're real, they're active, and they're not going anywhere. Then there's Nexus Mods, the largest and most active modding site in the world. Recently, Starfield passed Morrowind on Nexus for total mods downloaded. Let that sink in. Morrowind came out in 2002. It's been modded for over 2 decades and still has an extremely dedicated community. And yet, Starfield, less than 2 years old, has already climbed higher on the download chart. These aren't console players, these are PC modders, most of them outside of Creations, choosing to engage deeply with this game. If Starfield were truly abandoned, it wouldn't climb past legendary modding communities. But that begs the question, what's actually happening on Creations? Let's take DarkStar, a $10 endgame overhaul mod. It competes directly with several free overhauls, some of which are very popular on Nexus. Despite the competition, DarkStar is pulling an average of 7,500 plays per day. And here's the key detail. Most of those plays are coming from Xbox users. This shows just how massive the Xbox player base is and how little the Steam-only crowd actually sees of Starfield's broader reach. DarkStar isn't an outlier. It's proof that premium mods are thriving and that Creations is alive and growing, especially on console. Let's take a look at a creation with mass appeal. Something officially released by Bethesda alongside the launch of Creations. The Starborn Gravis Suit was one of the very first creations. It's a free, Canada-aligned cosmetic mod meant to give players a reason to try the system. You would expect every type of player to grab it at least once. So if Starfield were truly on the decline, this mod would be one of the first to reflect that. Free, universal, low effort to install, high visibility. But when we tracked the Gravis Suit play counts over the past week, we saw it peaked at over 90,000 daily plays, just shy of its lifetime average of 98,000 per day. There's no drop-off, no collapse, just a steady pulse of consistent engagement from a massive player base. And remember this, is a single cosmetic mod. It doesn't add a quest. It doesn't change gameplay. It's just a suit. So what happens when we look at something less flashy? A utility mod, functional, focused, and built for the hardcore side of the player base. Let's talk about Falkland ship services next. Falkland Ship Services is a mod designed for one thing, shipbuilders. It adds functional ship parts to the game, nothing flashy, no storyline, just tools for creative players who love to build. We tracked its play counts over a full week, and on 5 out of the 7 days, it performed above its lifetime average of 22,000 plays per day. Its peak, over 30,000 plays on a single day. That's not death, that's growth. And this happened during a week with no Bethesda content drops, no marketing, no updates, nothing. This was a slow week, and the community still showed up. But what about story content? When it comes to story content, we have the perfect apples-to-apples comparison. 2 mods, same author, same price tag, $10. Both offer handcrafted story content and high production value. One was made for Skyrim, Bards College expansion, the other for Starfield, Watchtower. Bards College expansion pulls an average of 13,000 daily plays. Most of that comes from PC players, which makes sense. Skyrim still charts on Steam. Watchtower, on the other hand, it averages 43,000 plays per day. And while most of these plays come from Xbox, it still pulls 21,000 plays a day from PC players. That number doesn't show up on the Steam chart, which means a huge number of PC players are launching Starfield outside of Steam. So if the Steam chart can't explain these players, maybe it's time we stop treating it like gospel. So after all this data, the question remains, why is someone who makes mod reviews and help videos the one telling you this? Where are the big voices, the ones with hundreds of thousands of subscribers, millions of views? Well, I'll let Luke Stevens answer that.
I don't think it's any mystery that if your channel is built on negativity and calling out terrible companies, you're probably going to make videos that nonstop criticize Bethesda, EA, Activision Blizzard. They're all very easy targets, to be perfectly honest. And then you occasionally do a video that praises and hypes up like Cyberpunk. And you do that, you're pretty well and truly set for a pretty successful gaming YouTube channel. However, my problem with it is that the industry is far more complex than that, and I don't think the industry is as formulaic as that. I think you got to have the integrity to call out the bad when there's bad, but also to call out the good when there's good, not just ignore it because it happens to come from a firm or a company that you don't actively support or that doesn't drive as much attention and positive clicks.
Maybe that was once an honest admission, but now it looks more like a business model. And whether those were even his words is up for debate, considering his history of plagiarism in the early years of his channel. I've linked a video in the description from a creator who had their work directly copied. This wasn't an accident, it was a pattern. So why is it me? Because they've long since abandoned their integrity for engagement, because outrage sells, and because facts don't farm clicks. They've said the game is dead. They've said it for 2 years now, but the numbers say otherwise, and deep down they know it. Because if the truth hurts your view count, then maybe you're not making content, you're selling it. Before I go, there's one more thing to notice. This image has been used across multiple Starfield hate videos, again and again and again. But it's not original, it's not gameplay. It's a screenshot from Children of the Sky, a music video Bethesda commissioned to celebrate the game's release. They used a celebration of hope, of ambition, to sell a funeral. And that's the cycle. Not just recycled thumbnails, but recycled outrage. No new insight, no new critiques, just the same images, the same claims, and the same angry thumbnails designed to stir frustration, not understanding. And maybe that's the deeper problem, because public forums require public virtue. To speak truth with charity and reason is good. To stir others to anger or fear through false or exaggerated claims is not justice, but scandal. The latter wounds communities and sows disorder in places meant for leisure and joy.